Hello and welcome to Curriculum Night at ASM. My name is Sarah Kleven and I teach your child anatomy and physiology. I also teach IB Environmental Systems and Society, which is also known as ESS for both 11th and 12th graders. Now, my undergrad is in sports medicine and physical education, but my true passion was also, in addition to the human body, was being outdoors, which is kind of why I started to kind of follow that passion. I worked at a fish hatchery. I worked for the Department of Natural Resources. I was a stream restoration coordinator. I did some really firefighter, all kinds of really cool things. But one of my other really big passions is talking about the human body. And so I love that I get to teach this class at the high school level. Now, I'm also a yogi, so that also plays a little bit into my anatomy and physiology. You can see me in front of one of my favorite animals, a camel. So I'm doing camel in front of camel. But if you look at the bottom of this image, you can see a handful of bones. So every week in our class, we do what I call Bone of the Week. So we're looking at different bones from all kinds of different species that I've picked up around the world, and looking at these different structures and trying to identify them and also trying to relate it back to what we're talking about in class. I also like to dress up. Now, in this case, it's Charles Darwin. We don't talk about evolution really in anatomy and physiology, but I always try to make connections also to things like biology and other classes that the students might be taking. Now you're probably thinking, who's in the driver's seat of learning in my class? And that is your student. It is student-centered. So I have a little image here of a student, aka myself when I was in 4th grade. And you can see around me are my guided notes. So these are notes that I take all different types of resources and I put together these very colorful, maybe you're doing a bit of coloring, but clever ways in order to learn information. And everything starts with a question. I'm not the type of teacher who puts Google Slides or PowerPoint in front of the classroom and just lectures. It's all student-led discussions that kind of dive us into understanding the information or applying the information. Now, I also love hands-on. So you can see some photos from my previous students of all kinds of other activities and dissections and also some big smiles on their faces, but just diving into the learning process, making models, paper labs, physical labs, you name it. I want them to have hands-on, right, and other activities. Okay, a few more pictures. There I am in the center with a giant cow heart. And that is because I want to build community where learning comes natural because it's fun. I want them to be interested. And I think that leads into my next big point is that excellent looks like curiosity. I want my students to ask all kinds of questions and dive deeper. And if they go home and are Googling more information, yes, I feel like I've won as a teacher, right? But I also want my students participating, raising their hands, either asking questions or answering questions. But I also have my classroom set up in tiny pods, so then that can also lead to small group discussions. I want my students also to understand that the prize is in the process, right? It's all those steps and all the hard work that we put in, right, that really help us kind of solidify our learning, not just a stamp or the end grade on a test, okay? So prize is in the process. I also want students to complete assignments. I assign very few, so when it does come to assignment, I really think it's meaningful. But success in an assignment is going to look different for every single student. Okay. Another big thing is I want students to be respectful. Okay. If you would like to get a hold of me, feel free to email me. You can also look me up on Twitter. It's very educational based. It's a little bit more ESS kind of centered, very nature, environmental kind of stuff, but feel free. You can also reach me on Schoology. So speaking of Schoology, this is what our Schoology page looks like. I try to be very organized, very colorful, and everything goes into our units. So resources, videos, classwork, you name it, it's all there. Okay. You can also check out the course outline. Now, it may be a little bit more colorful than you're used to, Let's try to go for that, trying to make it a little bit more different. But you can see all the different units that we're going to cover this semester. So what are you curious about? If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or stop in later. So I hope you have a fantastic day. Ciao for now.